The alarms screamed across the Royal Star Garden, a massive floating palace above the violet clouds of planet Xylaria. Human guard Ethan Ward knew something was wrong long before the others did. The air tasted like burnt metal, the lights flickered, and the Princess of Xylaria, Princess Aurelia, looked over her shoulder with silent fear. Ethan stayed one step behind her, scanning every shadow. He had been assigned to her only 3 weeks ago, yet somehow he felt more responsible for her safety than anyone else. Humans were rare in the Xylari Empire, but Ethan had proven his worth again and again. Still, nothing could prepare him for what was coming. A sudden explosion rocked the palace, sending energy sparks across the golden walls. The princess stumbled, but Ethan grabbed her arm and pulled her behind a shimmering pillar. The whole hallway filled with smoke and glowing shards. The enemy had breached the shield. Someone was inside the palace, and they were hunting the princess. A deep mechanical sound echoed from the fog. Not footsteps, something heavier, something cruel. Ethan pushed the princess farther behind him. "Stay down," he whispered, his voice low but steady. She obeyed without question, trusting him more than her own soldiers. From the smoke emerged a tall armored creature, its helmet shaped like a dragon's skull. A mercenary from the Black Comet Legion, the most feared assassins in 3 galaxies. Its weapon glowed with a crimson light, pointed straight at the princess's heart. Aurelia gasped softly. "No, it's a Starpiercer." Ethan didn't know the weapon, but he understood the danger. He didn't stop to think. He didn't wait for backup. He didn't plan. He moved. The assassin fired a beam of burning energy. Ethan threw himself in front of the princess, taking the blast directly into his chest. The palace floor cracked under the force, the air shook, and for a moment there was only blinding white light. Aurelia screamed, reaching for him. But Ethan stayed on his feet, even as smoke drifted from his armor and pain ripped through him like fire. Humans were known to be durable, but this level of strength shocked even the assassin. Ethan pushed forward with a roar, tackling the mercenary. The two crashed into a wall, sparks flying, metal denting under the impact. The assassin tried to strike again, but Ethan grabbed the weapon arm and twisted it until bones snapped. The creature howled, but Ethan didn't stop. He fought like a man who refused to fall, refused to die, refused to let the princess even be touched. Finally the mercenary collapsed, unconscious, armor cracked open. Ethan stood there, shaking but alive, his clothes partially burned, his breathing rough. The princess rushed to him, her eyes wide with disbelief. You took the blast for me," she whispered. Ethan tried to smile. "That's the job," he said weakly. But Aurelia knew better. No guard, human or alien, would have been fast enough or brave enough to do what he just did. Before she could say anything more, dozens of royal soldiers arrived, dragging the assassin away and putting out fires. Ethan felt his knees buckle, but the princess caught him before he hit the ground. "Don't close your eyes," she begged, "you saved me, Ethan, please stay awake." He wanted to answer, but darkness took him. The Queen arrives. Hours later, Ethan woke in the royal healing chamber, wrapped in glowing medical fibers. The room felt warm and quiet, but the moment he opened his eyes, he felt a pressure in the air. A powerful presence. The doors opened. The alien queen herself, Queen Seraphina, entered, her massive crystal crown glowing with silver fire. She was tall, elegant, and terrifying in the way only a galactic ruler could be. Even the air trembled around her. Ethan tried to sit up but froze when she stepped toward him. Her eyes, bright like twin suns, studied him with intense curiosity. "You shielded my daughter with your own body," she said slowly, her voice echoing like wind across mountains. "No alien warrior has ever done such a thing, and lived." Ethan swallowed, unsure what to say. "Anyone would have done it," he murmured. Her eyes narrowed. "No," she said, "not anyone." She moved closer, her gaze never leaving him. You risked your life for the princess without hesitation. You fought a black comet mercenary alone. And you survived a starpiercer blast meant to kill royalty. The queen leaned in slightly, her tone lowering. Human, you have done the impossible. Ethan felt uncomfortable under her intense stare. But before he could speak, she raised her hand. From this day forward, she declared. You are no longer just a guard. Ethan's heart pounded. The queen's next words shocked everyone in the room, including the princess who had just arrived behind her mother. From this day forward, the queen said. I claim the human as my own. Princess Aurelia gasped. Ethan's eyes widened. The soldiers froze. Nothing would ever be the same again. The room fell into total silence after Queen Seraphina spoke. Her voice still echoed in the shining crystal walls. I claim the human as my own. Ethan lay there on the healing bed, unable to move, unable to understand what she meant. Princess Aurelia stepped forward, her golden eyes wide with shock. Mother, what do you mean by that? She asked softly. Even the guards looked uncertain, shifting nervously in their armor. The queen did not answer right away. She circled Ethan slowly, studying him from every angle as if he were a weapon she had just discovered. A rare weapon, ancient and powerful. A weapon she wanted. Ethan forced himself to sit up straighter despite the pain. Your Majesty. I don't understand, he said carefully. I am just a guard. The queen's lips curved slightly. No, human, she replied. You are not just anything. She tapped her fingers on the air, activating a floating projection. A glowing screen appeared, showing slow-motion footage of the attack. Ethan watched himself jump in front of the princess, taking the full impact of the deadly beam. He saw his body twisting from the force, the blast spreading like fire across his armor. But he did not fall. He did not break. He kept moving. The queen pointed at the screen. This, she said firmly. This is what no Xylari soldier has ever done. Aurelia folded her hands tightly, watching the replay. She remembered every moment, every sound, every heartbeat. Ethan had saved her life before even thinking of himself. No royal guard ever reacted so fast. The queen continued, her tone deepening. Humans are stronger than we believed. More durable. More fearless. More unpredictable. Ethan frowned. Your Majesty. I didn't act because of my species, he said quietly. I acted because she needed help. Princess Aurelia's breath caught at his words. For a moment her expression softened, but the queen did not look impressed by the sentiment. She leaned in close to him, her eyes glowing with a strange fascination. You are special, human, she said. And I intend to make sure no one else takes you from me. Ethan felt a sudden chill run through him. Your Majesty, with respect. I'm not an object, he said. Her eyes flashed dangerously. Not an object, she agreed, but an asset. Aurelia stepped forward immediately. Mother, you can't just claim him, she argued, he's a person, not a royal artifact. The queen turned her gaze toward her daughter, slow and sharp. And you, she said, you are too attached to him already. Aurelia flushed, looking away. Ethan glanced between them, confused and uneasy. Attached. What did that mean? He had only been her guard for a few weeks. He had only done what any human with a heart would do. The queen straightened her long shimmering cloak. Prepare the Hall of Ascension, she ordered the guards. We will assign the human a new rank. Ethan blinked. A new rank. He didn't like the sound of that. Not even a little. The queen turned back to him. You saved the princess, she said. That gives you a place in the royal house. But, she added, you will not be her guard anymore. Aurelia's head snapped up. What? She exclaimed. Ethan felt something tighten inside him. He didn't want to leave the princess's side. He didn't know why, maybe duty, maybe instinct, but he felt responsible for her. The queen's tone was final. "You will be mine now," she said. "Under my command, under my protection, and under my authority." The princess looked devastated. Ethan looked confused. And the queen looked satisfied. The royal whispers begin. News traveled fast in the palace. By the time Ethan stood on his feet again, the rumors were already spreading. A human guard taken by the queen herself. A human who survived a Starpiercer. A human who protected the princess like no alien could. Every corridor he walked through, soldiers stared. Some looked impressed, some jealous, some suspicious. A few whispered things he could not understand, but their tones told him enough. The word "claimed" carried strange meanings in alien culture. Meanings Ethan wasn't ready for. Princess Aurelia finally approached him in a quiet garden pathway. She looked worried, almost angry. "Ethan," she said, "you must listen to me." He stopped. "What's happening?" he asked gently. "Why is the queen acting like this?" Aurelia looked around to make sure no guards were near. Then she spoke in a low trembling voice. "Being claimed by the queen," she whispered, "means she wants you for something much bigger than a guard position." Ethan swallowed hard. What does she want? Aurelia met his eyes. Something deep and dangerous flickered in her gaze. "She wants you in her inner circle," she said. "And once you enter that circle, no one leaves." Ethan felt a cold shock run through him. But she was not finished. "There is something else," she added. "Something you must know." Ethan leaned in slightly. "What is it?" he asked. Aurelia hesitated. Then she said the words that made Ethan freeze completely. "My mother doesn't just want a human," she whispered. "She wants you." Ethan felt Aurelia's words strike him harder than any Starpiercer blast. The garden around them fell silent, the glowing flowers swaying gently in the warm alien breeze. But nothing felt peaceful anymore. Not after hearing that the queen wanted him personally. He took a slow breath. "Aurelia, why me?" he asked in a steady but confused voice. "There are thousands of warriors stronger than I am." She shook her head firmly. "No," she whispered, "there are thousands stronger, but none like you." Ethan frowned. "I'm just a soldier," he said. "I'm not special." Aurelia stepped closer, her voice soft but full of urgency. "You don't understand," she said. "To survive a Starpiercer, to stay standing after it hits you, even our strongest generals fall instantly." Ethan looked away, uncomfortable with the attention. He never thought of himself as anything rare or powerful. He only did his duty. He only protected someone who needed help. But Aurelia continued speaking. "In the Empire, someone who survives something impossible is no longer seen as normal. Mother believes it is fate. She thinks the universe chose you for something big." That word made Ethan tense. He had heard it before, whispered by the guards earlier. Fate. Chosen. Alien cultures took destiny very seriously. Sometimes too seriously. A faint hum echoed from the palace as a golden drone approached them. It projected a hologram of the queen's crest, glowing like a star. "Human Ethan," the machine announced. "The queen summons you to the Hall of Ascension." Ethan's stomach dropped. Aurelia's face paled. "No," she whispered, "not this fast." Ethan turned to her. "What is the Hall of Ascension?" he asked. Her hands trembled slightly as she answered. "It's where the queen promotes warriors into her personal circle. But once she promotes someone, they are bound to her." Ethan froze. "Bound, how?" Aurelia bit her lip. "In duty," she said quietly. "In loyalty. In responsibility." Then her voice lowered even further. And sometimes, in ways much deeper than that. Ethan swallowed hard. What are you saying? Aurelia hesitated. Then she spoke the truth she had feared to say. If the Queen claims you publicly, she whispered, she can demand your protection for the rest of your life. Ethan felt the ground shift beneath him. That means I can never leave, he said slowly. Aurelia lowered her head. Yes. The drone hovered impatiently. A cold reminder that he had no choice. Ethan put a hand on Aurelia's shoulder, surprising both of them. Listen, he said softly. I am not going to run. I'm not afraid. But I need to know the truth. Aurelia looked up at him with wide, conflicted eyes. You don't know how much danger you're walking into, she said. Mother doesn't claim people because she likes them. She claims people because she wants to use them. Ethan nodded. I can handle danger, he said. I've done it before. Aurelia grabbed his arm with sudden fear. But this is different, she said. This isn't a battlefield. This is politics. This is power. This is control. The leaves rustled around them as a cold wind moved through the garden. Ethan could feel her fear. He could feel her worry. And somehow, it strengthened his resolve. The Hall of Ascension. The doors to the hall opened with a deep rumbling sound. Ethan walked inside, surrounded by guards wearing ceremonial armor. The hall was enormous, filled with floating crystals and sharp-looking silver banners. A raised platform stood at the center, glowing with rotating rings of energy. Queen Seraphina stood on the upper steps, her cloak flowing like living fire. Her gaze locked onto Ethan the moment he entered. It was not cold. But it was not gentle either. It was something powerful, something ancient, something territorial. Human Ethan, she said, her voice echoing across the chamber. You stand here because you defied death. And because you protected my daughter when even seasoned warriors failed. Ethan bowed slightly. It was my duty, he said quietly. The Queen smiled faintly. You still do not understand, she replied. And that is why you intrigue me. A hologram appeared above her, showing charts of Ethan's body after the attack. Enhanced durability. Unusual healing speed. Adrenaline spikes beyond human records. The Queen turned to the council members seated around the hall. Witness, she commanded. A human who survived the impossible. She turned back to him. You are stronger than your kind should be. You are faster than your training should allow. And your loyalty is something our empire has not seen in centuries. Ethan stared up at her, feeling a strange mix of pride and unease. Your Majesty, he began. I don't want power. The Queen raised a hand, stopping him. I know, she said. And that is why you must have it. The crowd murmured in surprise. Aurelia watched from the shadows, hoping Ethan could see her worry. The Queen stepped closer. Her eyes glowed with a deep, unsettling certainty. In this empire, she said. A warrior who defies death does not choose his destiny. Destiny chooses him. Then she placed her hand on Ethan's shoulder. A symbol of royal claim glowing between them. I, Queen Seraphina, she declared. Ascend this human into my personal circle. The hall erupted in shock. Aurelia covered her mouth in disbelief. And Ethan felt the energy ring around him tighten. Binding him to the Queen's command. The Queen's final words echoed through the hall like thunder. From this day forward, she said. The human belongs to me. The glowing energy ring around Ethan faded slowly, but the pressure it left behind stayed heavy on his chest. The Queen's hand lifted from his shoulder, yet her presence lingered like a silent command. The entire Hall of Ascension watched him as if he had become something more than human. Something dangerous. Something unpredictable. Ethan stood straight, refusing to show fear. But his heart pounded. Not because of the queen. Not because of the power around him. But because he saw Aurelia in the shadows. Her face pale with worry. Her hands trembling. A guard stepped forward. "Human Ethan," he announced. "You now hold the rank of Royal Protector." A murmur swept through the hall. A rank higher than any normal soldier could ever reach. A rank second only to the Queen herself. But the title felt like a cage, not an honor. Ethan felt it immediately. Power tied with invisible chains. Queen Seraphina circled him slowly, her eyes glowing like molten gold. "In this role," she said, "you will serve only me." Ethan clenched his fists. He could feel her authority pressing down on him. A force designed to make warriors kneel. A force that bent the strongest soldiers in the empire. But Ethan stayed standing. He did not bow. He did not kneel. He did not even look away. A ripple moved through the room. A silent shock. A human refusing to kneel before a queen who had ruled galaxies. No alien dared to defy her. But he did. Ethan Ward did. The queen's eyes narrowed with interest, not anger. This human. This stubborn, reckless human. Fascinated her more with every breath he took. The princess tries to save him. Aurelia moved toward him quickly, stepping out from the shadows. "Mother, please," she said, "you can't force him into this." The queen raised her hand. "Do not interfere, Aurelia," she said sharply. "This is beyond you." Aurelia positioned herself between Ethan and the queen anyway. Her voice shaking but firm. "He protected me because he chose to. Not because he was ordered to." The queen's gaze hardened. "Exactly," she said. "And that is why I want him." Aurelia turned to Ethan, her voice low, urgent. "You don't have to accept this," she whispered. "You can say no." Ethan shook his head slightly. "I don't think your mother understands the word no," he murmured. Despite the danger, Aurelia almost smiled. The queen stepped closer. Her presence dark and powerful like a storm. "Human," she said, "do you reject my claim?" The hall fell silent. Even the guards stopped breathing. Everyone waited for his answer. Ethan knew one thing. If he said yes, the queen would crush him. If he said no, he would lose his freedom. But there was something stronger inside him. Something no alien could predict. Human defiance. Human stubbornness. Human will. Ethan lifted his chin. "Your Majesty," he said calmly. "I will serve the Empire. I will protect the princess. But I will not be owned." The hall gasped. Someone dropped their weapon. Even Aurelia stepped back in shock. The queen froze. Her eyes widened. Not in anger. But in something else. Confusion. Curiosity. Interest. "Explain," she demanded. Her voice sharp but not yet deadly. Ethan met her gaze without fear. "I'll stand with you," he said. "But only on my terms. Not as a possession. Not as a trophy. And not as something the Empire can use." A dangerous silence followed. The queen stared at him with an expression no one in the room could read. Then, slowly, she exhaled. "You refuse a queen's claim," she said softly. "Yet you do not tremble." Ethan shrugged a little. "I'm a human," he said. "We don't break that easily." The queen's lips curved, barely, a hint of a smile. "Interesting," she whispered. "Very interesting. The enemies make their move." Before anyone could react, the hall trembled violently. The lights flickered red. Warning alarms exploded across the chamber. Captain Rylox rushed forward. "Your Majesty," he shouted, "we are under attack." The Queen's expression turned cold instantly. From who? Unknown ships, the captain replied. They have breached the outer shield. Aurelia grabbed Ethan's arm. This is about you, she said breathlessly. They came for you. Ethan stared at her. That's impossible, he whispered. But the Queen stepped closer. No, she said. It is not impossible. It is expected. She turned to her guards. Someone wants the human. Dead or captured. Ethan felt a chill crawl down his spine. He had survived an assassin. He had survived a starpiercer. He had defied a queen. And now an enemy fleet was coming for him. The Queen faced him once more. Her voice low and commanding. Human, she said. Whether you accept my claim or not. Her eyes burned like twin suns. You will stay by my side. Ethan gritted his teeth. Why? He asked. The Queen leaned in close, her words whispered like a promise and a threat. Because the universe wants you, she said. And I am not letting them take what I have found. The palace shook again as the enemy fleet released another wave of plasma. Flames glowed across the sky outside the crystal walls. Guards ran through the halls, alarms blaring like thunder. The enemy wasn't testing defenses anymore. They were trying to break through. They were coming straight for Ethan Ward. Ethan looked around at the chaos. He wasn't a prince, he wasn't a general, he wasn't even from this world. Yet the entire empire was now under attack because of him. Queen Seraphina stepped forward, her cloak flaring with power. Enough, she said, her voice like a blade cutting the air. No more hiding. She turned to Ethan, her expression hard but strangely proud. Human, she said, you will come with me. Aurelia grabbed Ethan's hand before he could move. Her fingers cold with fear. You don't have to do this, she whispered. You can run. Ethan shook his head. I'm done running, he said. If someone wants a fight, they're going to get one. Aurelia swallowed. You're brave, she whispered softly. Or stupid, Ethan replied with a weak smile. Humans mix those two a lot. For the first time that day, she laughed, a short, shaky laugh. But her eyes were full of emotion. Something she didn't say out loud. Something she wasn't sure she was allowed to feel. The war room. The Queen marched ahead, leading them into the royal war room. A massive chamber filled with floating holograms of the battlefield. Enemy ships glowed red on the map, closing in like wolves. General Vorth stepped forward. Your Majesty, he said, the attackers are using cloak drones to target the palace interior. They have one mission. Ethan answered before the general finished. They want me, he said. General Vorth nodded grimly. Yes. Aurelia's grip tightened. The Queen's eyes flashed. Who sent them, she demanded. Vorth hesitated. Then he pulled up a symbol. A black comet wrapped in chains. Ethan froze. That's the mercenary group who attacked us, he said. Queen Seraphina's voice grew dark. The Black Comet Legion never works alone. Someone paid them. Ethan stepped closer to the hologram. Who would want me, he asked. I'm nobody. The Queen shook her head slowly. No, she said. You are someone now. But her next words shocked everyone in the room. The blast that hit you, she said softly. It should have killed you instantly. Ethan frowned. But it didn't. Aurelia spoke next, her voice trembling. The healers detected something inside you. Ethan's heart pounded. What do you mean, inside me? The Queen took a step forward. You have trace energy from the Starpiercer, she said. Surviving it changed you. Ethan stared at her. Changed me how? General Vorth spoke next. You absorbed part of the weapon's power. Ethan blinked. I did what? The Queen nodded. You are now something the universe has never seen. Part human. Part star-piercer. Aurelia whispered. That's why they want you. You're a weapon they cannot buy, so they want to steal. The attack breaches. The palace doors exploded inward. Guards raised their shields as cloaked drones rushed through the smoke. Drones shaped like metallic insects, armed with plasma stingers. They swarmed the war room, targeting Ethan with deadly precision. A soldier shouted. They're locking onto his energy signature. Ethan stepped forward without thinking. More instinct than logic. More courage than fear. He raised his arms as a drone fired at him. The world slowed. A strange warmth burst inside his chest. Light flared across his skin like blue fire. The beam hit him. And dissolved. Like it struck a shield made of pure energy. The room fell silent. Aurelia gasped. The Queen's eyes widened with awe. Ethan stared at his own hands, glowing faintly. What did I just do? He whispered. The Queen whispered back. You became exactly what the universe feared. 2 more drones charged. Ethan stepped forward. He didn't know how. He didn't know why. But his body moved faster than ever. He struck the first drone with his fist. It shattered like glass. He grabbed the second and ripped it apart as sparks flew around him. Queen Seraphina raised her arm, shouting. Protect the human at all costs. Aurelia ran to his side, eyes wide with fear and admiration. Ethan, you're glowing. He looked down. A faint blue aura surrounded him. He felt stronger, faster, sharper. Human instinct mixed with alien energy. A weapon made of courage and accident. The choice. The Queen turned to Ethan, her cloak glowing with power. Human, she said. You now understand why I claimed you. Ethan faced her. I understand, he said softly. But I will still not kneel. The Queen held his gaze. Then she smiled. A real smile, rare and powerful. Good, she whispered. A warrior who kneels is useless to me. Aurelia stepped between them, her eyes shining. Mother, she said, he's not your weapon. The Queen lifted an eyebrow. He is the Empire's weapon, she corrected. Ethan shook his head. No, he said firmly. I'm something else. The Queen tilted her head. And what is that? Ethan looked at both of them. At the Queen with her power. At Aurelia with her hope. I'm the human who chooses his own destiny, he said. The Queen stared at him for a long silent moment. Then she nodded slowly. Then choose, she said. Fight for us, or walk away. Aurelia gripped his arm. Eyes soft, pleading. Don't leave, she whispered. Ethan looked at the broken drones. The enemy ships. The terrified guards. Then he looked at the princess he had sworn to protect. The princess he had nearly died for. His voice was calm, steady, human. I'm staying, he said. Aurelia's eyes filled with relief. The Queen exhaled slowly. The war room erupted with hope. Ethan reached for a fallen spear. The blue energy around him pulsed brighter. And the Queen announced to the entire palace. Then let the universe tremble, she said. For the human stands with us. Ethan stood at the center of the storm. The human who refused to kneel. The human who changed an empire. The human who became something the galaxy had never seen. And the war for him had only just begun.